Hello Fern Creek Class of 2020, this is Mr. Tennyson and I'm happy to have you here for our last video in this series. In this video we're going to be talking about and building a zero-based budget using the YNAB Budget application. Now you can build this kind of zero-based budget using something as simple as Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. I just like YNAB Budget. I think it's a great piece of software that has a good community. It does cost $85 to get this software, but and I know that might seem like a lot, but at the same time, this thing will save you so much money in the long run. You will never even think about that $85 you spent. If you're thinking, well, I can't really afford that, then my comment would be, if you've ever bought a video game or if you've ever gone out for a dinner or two in a month, you can probably sacrifice one or two of those to purchase this and get yourself financially situated would be my recommendation. But again, you can use other tools. So this video is not sponsored by YNAB Budget. All right, so this is the basic home screen of YNAB Budget. This is our existing budget right now. We don't have any money to budget. You can see that right up here. We've got $0 to be budgeted. It's May, and we're going to assume it's May 1st as I'm working on this budget here. And then we've got some basic budget items. Now, everybody's budget is a little bit different. I have far more items than this in my budget, and I'll encourage you, when you first start your budget, to be as precise as possible. You're better off having more categories with more subcategories and really getting control of your money in the beginning than having to expand it out later on. So I would encourage you to start highly detailed, high control of your money, and then as you feel comfortable letting some of that control go, you can sort of roll up these categories into more general ones, okay? So the first thing we need to do in our budget here is give ourselves some money to work with. So we're going to assume that we get a paycheck. So I'm going to go down here to my demo checking account. I'm going to add a transaction, and it's May 1st. So I'm going to be paid. The payee is My Awesome Job. My Awesome Job, and the category is to be budgeted. We call that an inflow into our budget. The memo is got paid, right? And we're going to make, on this paycheck, we'll make $13.50. All right, great. That's pretty nice. So let's go back to our budget. And now we have $13.50 to be budgeted. Remember, with a zero-based budget, we are not assuming we have any more income coming our way. So this paycheck that we just got on May 1st could be our last paycheck ever at this job. We could get laid off. A global pandemic could strike, a variety of things could happen. Now I know that sounds very risk averse, but what you'll find is being a little risk averse with your budget will lead to you not having to be so risk averse when you make a purchase. You will be happy about your purchase because you could actually afford it and you weren't doing those financial gymnastics we were talking about. Okay, so let's go ahead and get budgeting here. We're going to first handle our immediate obligations. So both of these categories right here, immediate obligations and true expenses, as well as debt payments, really all this stuff kind of falls into that needs, the needs portion of our budget, okay? So we'll say, let's see, our cell phone perhaps costs us $60 a month. Maybe we're still living with a roommate, so our rent is $450. I'm just, these are kind of some averages that I went and looked up. We can get internet, really solid internet, probably for $65 a month. And let's say our groceries are $200. Sure. Now we've got $575 left to be budgeted. So our renter's insurance, man, it's been a long time since I've rented. I want to say that was maybe $25 a month. My auto insurance, on the other hand, as a young person is a little bit higher, so I think it's probably going to be at least $100 a month. Auto maintenance, now this is a pretty cool thing that we're going to start to do when we have a zero-based budget, is that even if we don't have any auto maintenance due in this month, we can set a goal for ourselves to save up a certain amount of auto maintenance so that we know, let's see, So I'm starting this goal in, I don't want to start it in April. Let's, hold on. Got to make a quick fix here. Actually, we'll just leave it as is. We'll say that we've saved up $0. We forgot to budget this in April, we'll say. And in order for us to have $60 by June for that oil change that we know we'll need, we need to save $30 this month to stay on track. So this is a really cool feature of YNAB, is it lets you set these goals that you know you're going to have to meet, and you can just go ahead and budget for them to stay on track with your budget. So we're not predicting, notice that we're not predicting income here, we're predicting an expense. And that right there is a pretty awesome way to start thinking about keeping control of your money, is if you can predict all of your expenses for 3 months, 6 months, etc., you're going to get so much control over your money that you end up saving, and when you actually have to go and get that auto maintenance, you don't feel bad about it. You've been preparing for that for 2 or 3 months. All right, for clothing, right now, let's say we don't really have a goal to save up for clothing. We don't need any new clothes, so we're just going to move on to computer replacement, okay? So here's another goal. We want to save up for a new computer by May of next year. So May of 2021, we're going to need $700. And here you can already see I'm going to need $53.85 right now and every month from this point forward in order to be able to afford that computer. The difference is that I won't go into debt when I buy that computer. I still have this money in my account. So basically, if something goes wrong and I need $53 in this month for something else, well, I can just push my computer off for another month. That's a lot better than being obligated to pay that $53, being obligated by a debtor. The person that provided that loan, we have to pay them, but we can pay ourselves however we want to. So we're going to set that, we'll fulfill our goal for this month, and we've got $366 left. All right, let's say we have like a Netflix subscription, we've got maybe an Apple Music subscription, those probably total to around $20, great. And then we'll come back to stuff I forgot to budget for. So our student loan, right, the average student loan is I think $25,000 or so. I had this number up, but I lost my Google Sheet, so I'm just going to plug a number in here, but we can probably assume it's going to be at least $250, okay? Hopefully for you don't have really high student loans, but we're just going to throw out a number there, okay? And then we've got an auto loan, right? But notice we've only got $96 left to be budgeted, okay? We haven't even gotten down to our fun category yet. And you're thinking, man, that kind of stinks. I'm not going to be able to have any fun. Well, honestly, you should be meeting all of your needs before you even think about your fun, right? But realistically, you're going to have at least one time that you probably dine out, okay? And that's another really important rule of You Need a Budget, is that you roll with the punches and you acknowledge your life, right? You acknowledge the fact that at least at some point I'm probably going to spend $15 on Chinese food or pizza or something this month, okay? Hopefully you don't have an auto loan. Hopefully, you bought a $3,000 car in high school and that thing's paid off or whatever. But if you do have an auto loan, we're going to throw out the rest of our money and we're going to put it toward that auto loan right there. Another way of thinking about this is you could say, well, I only need to spend $100 on groceries for the first 2 weeks or so. I know I can live for 2 weeks on groceries, so I'm going to give myself that $100. And maybe our auto loan is really $100, so we need to totally fulfill that. You can be flexible here. The trick, though, is that when we think about only the money that we have in our account, right? We've only gotten paid one time, so this is all the money we have in our account, and we might never get any more. We get much tighter control over our money. And so we're not going to spend any money on gaming or movies. We might spend $15 on dining out, but we've got $81.15 to be budgeted here. And so I'm going to throw the rest of this money into stuff I forgot to budget for. Because what happens inevitably is that things happen in our life that we do not expect, and we have to pay for those things. So you might get sick and have to go to the doctor. Your car might get a flat tire. You might need to go... there's so many examples here, right, of what could happen. So this category, stuff I forgot to budget for, is the seed of building an emergency fund, right? And an emergency fund is really about having 3 to 6 months of expenses budgeted away in your checking account. Or really, actually, you would want to put it in a high yield savings account, but you guys can learn more about that on your own. The key thing is to have an emergency fund regardless of how much interest it's accruing. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a category here. And we're going to say savings, right? And here's what we're going to assume. We're going to assume that you are getting $13.50 per, or bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, okay? And this number already takes into account the fact that you're putting your money in that 401k and that Roth IRA, at least that 401k, okay? This money that you're getting is at least going into that 401k. And I say that because the only money that should show up in your checking account is money that's post-tax, and it's what you've got for your needs and your wants. But hopefully you've made that good decision to put as much contribution as you can towards that 401k. You don't even have to think about what that money should do. It's already being saved for you before you even get paid. Okay, that's pre-tax. That's a pre-tax, tax-advantaged account. So make sure you're taking advantage of that 401k. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I want you to go back and look at the Freedom from Work video in this series. Okay, so for our emergency fund, let's think about this. So we need to save at least 3 to 6 months worth of paychecks from our current job, but it's good to start with a reasonable goal. And if we plug in $13.50 times, let's see, 3 months, that would be 6 paychecks. So $13.50 times 6, that's $8,100. That's a pretty big number, okay? $8,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So we're going to start out with a very reasonable emergency fund for ourselves. And we're just going to say $13.50. We want one paycheck. We want one paycheck in an emergency fund for ourselves. And so rather than putting this in budgeted, because that's going to put me in the red, I'm going to instead set a goal here. So I'll go over and I'll say create emergency fund goal. I want to have $13.50, and I want a buy date, or I could let's say we'll do a target balance. We want a target balance of $13.50, and let's say our goal is to have saved that by August. We're starting our budget journey in May, and we think maybe we can get to have that target balance of $13.50 by August. Okay, so we need to budget $337 more this month to stay on track. Okay, we can't do anything else right now. We've spent all our money that we have, and so let's go and give ourselves another paycheck. All right, so we are going to have our payee, my awesome job, to be budgeted, got paid, and then our inflow will be another $13.50. Okay, go back to our budget. Now we've got $13.50 to be budgeted. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Now we've already filled out all these others, right? Let's say we want to buy, we need some nice clothes because we're going on a business trip. And we have to purchase maybe like a full suit, and all we had before was a tie, a shirt, and some slacks. So maybe we need a new jacket and some new slacks. So we're gonna budget $100 for that, so we can get something that's decent. And now we're down to $12.50. So maybe you want to have some fun stuff in your life here. So you're going to increase your dining out budget. But remember, before you do that, we've got to think, okay, well, I only budgeted $100 for groceries before, so I still have to finish out this. So I'm going to change this number to $200, right? And then I want to buy a new game that's $60, and I want to go see a couple movies with friends that might cost me $35. Okay. I'll probably get to dine out at least one more time. So I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I'm living a life, right? I'm having a life outside of just trying to be entirely frugal with everything I do. The other side of this is you're going to be unhappy if you let your budget take all your fun away. That's not sustainable. That's not sustainable at all. So if you've got the means to have a little fun, you should be. You just have to be doing it within reason. So we're going to add another $35 here to dining out, not $3,500. We got $50 for dining out. That sounds pretty good. Now we've got $1,020 left to be budgeted. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, all right, in my emergency fund, I'm going to go ahead and fulfill that goal of $337. Now I've got $682 to be budgeted. What do I do with that money? Well, I'm going to go to June. And keep in mind, it's not June yet, right? I don't have anything that I owe yet in June, but I know that I'm going to owe on a cell phone, rent, internet, groceries at the very minimum. So check this out. I can just say, hey, what did I budget for that last month? Cell phone. What did I budget for rent? $450. Internet, $65. Groceries, $200. Now, what happens is I go in the red here, so I've got to reduce this. So I'm, not in the red. So I'll say minus $92.50. There we go. And now I'm at $0 to be budgeted again. This is a zero-based budget. We always want this number to be 0 because it means we've given every dollar that we have in our account a job. And what will happen is that as you continue to do this, notice that in May we were able to fill out these 4, right? But in June, maybe we don't end up having that, $81 random expense. So we're able to save a little more money, right? Then we're able to budget even further in July, and then even further in August. And it might not be instant. It really depends on your income and your situation and your obligations. But if you're frugal and smart, there's going to be a day, maybe it's in November, maybe it's in December, maybe it's after your tax return next year. But what you're going to have is you're going to be sitting here in January 2021, and you're going to have enough money in your account to take you through February, March, April, May, and maybe June. That's freedom from external control. When you have enough money in your account and in your emergency fund to last you nearly a year, right? Emergency fund plus what you've budgeted here in YNAB in your checking account, that's incredibly powerful. That's incredibly powerful. And that's your money to do with what you want. You can flex on that money as you need to. You're not obligated to spend that money on your debts. I can't tell you how important it is to stay out of consumer debt and get control of your money from an early age. That way you can accrue legitimate wealth and live a wealthy lifestyle, so that when you are 40, 45, or even younger, right, depending on your income, you're able to buy those things that you really want. Those big luxuries, those $40,000 cars, those $2,000 shoes, you'll pay for those things without even thinking about them, because they'll be such a small part of your overall net worth that it really won't be all that impactful. I appreciate you all sticking around for this. I really encourage you to look more in depth on everything that we've talked about as far as budgeting, retirement, all this stuff. Do a little research on your own. The most important thing is that from a young age, you start to save and you start to get disciplined about how you spend your money and how you control your money. Thank you for your time. Congratulations on graduating. It's a huge achievement. I wish you the very best in life, and I hope that if you find these videos interesting and help you be successful, whatever it might be, just drop me a line sometime and let me know. Or if you have questions after this, you can reach me at my JCPS email. I should throw that up on the screen. I'll do that real quick. So let's see. My JCPS email, I'm going to write it right here, is c.tennyson@jefferson.kyschools.us. You can email me anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you, and I wish you all the very best. Congrats.